Summer is that time of year when it's warm outside and you have plenty of free time. You want to make something with your own hands. In this video, I'm going to tell you what your parents did during the summer. More specifically, what kind of DIY projects did they make and why don't they tell you about them? Because some of them are really dangerous. And some are really cool and completely harmless. So friends, let's go! In first place, guys, we have the Slingshot. This was probably the favorite gun of boys back then. It's made very simply and shoots metal staples. Most often, it's aluminum wire. It shoots quite powerfully. But in our case, we're going to make a simple, weak slingshot. So, we will need a board that will serve as the body of our rifle. You can of course just use a stick, but it's better to shape it like a gun. This will be much more pleasant. We're cutting out our gun using a jigsaw or some other kind of saw. So how did I do? Here's the blank we've got. I hope you have a better one. So now we need some kind of nail, which we drive in opposite our handle. It will serve as a support for our trigger mechanism. I made the trigger mechanism from a regular bicycle spoke because it's very sturdy. I bent it using pliers. I shaped it like this and put it on top of the gun. And we need to make one turn around this nail on one side and the other. Look at how I did it, and you'll definitely succeed. The lower part of our mechanism, we just twist them together to make a trigger like this. Then we will need two pieces of rubber. I used an old bicycle inner tube and cut out two of these pieces. She's really good, guys, and she'll be a great fit for us. Next, repeat after me as I did. Our rubber will serve as a tensioner for our trigger mechanism. You can nail it down with small nails or use a stapler if you have one. We'll do the same operation on the other side, friends. Now, we have such a cool trigger mechanism. On the barrel, we need to take two nails and drive them in. In this way, it should look like a slingshot. Then I used a fishing rubber band and tied it to our slingshot. And that's it, friends. Our stapler is ready. This homemade gun shoots aluminum wire, or rather staples, which are easy to make. Of course, you can use other types of wire, but aluminum is very soft and it's the easiest to work with. Look, we insert the staple into our trigger mechanism. First, by pressing it down, the staple is tightly secured at the bottom with rubber bands. And now, by stretching the rubber band, our barrel is loaded. Guys, when you press the trigger, the staple flies out. It's that simple. An interesting stapler. Guys, pay attention. Do not point this gun at people or animals under any circumstances. Shoot only at some targets. But this thing was made by all the boys back in the day. This is a firecracker made from a bicycle spoke. As you understood, we will need a bicycle spoke. First, we unscrew it. We finish and twist it on the other side, so we'll end up with a small powder charge there. We bend it slightly, so dug, friends. Now we need a nail that will fit snugly into our nut. So, we tie a string to the nail, tightly, making a knot. The length of the string should be a little shorter than our firecracker, so that, you see, the nail doesn't fall out. We take a few matches, usually one or a maximum of 2 matches, and we stuff the sulfur into it. Then we insert the nail. Guys, just be very careful, don't overdo it, you shouldn't use more than 2 matches. So, did you hear how loud the explosion was? And our nail is in place because it's tied with a string. In third place, we have a water rocket made from a plastic bottle. Friends, our parents loved making these DIY projects because they involve physical laws and require some clever thinking. This bottle shoots out like a rocket engine because it has water and compressed air in it, which is supplied by a pump. It's made really simply, but it can shoot out for several dozen meters. But if you pump it up a bit more, it can fly up to 50 or even higher. To make it On you, with your own, you will need a regular PVC pipe, hot glue, and a valve from an old bicycle inner tube. Friends, it needs to be cut so that it fits snugly into our pipe, as I'm showing you right now. Next, we use hot glue to stick it in there really well, very carefully. So we end up with this kind of structure. Then we put on the 2-liter bottle, filling it halfway with water. Here we see how I did it. We tightly wrap duct tape around it. This is needed so that air doesn't pass through. And our bottle, which we have, is the rocket. It flew really well. And then we attach our pipe to some stick, and all that's left is to stick it into the ground. Pump. It is. We take our setup and the 2-liter bottle, and we pour about 1 to 1.5 liters of water into it. I might have overdone it. I said 1.5 liters. About half a liter of water. We fill it up and insert it into our setup here on top. The cap on and fit it tightly. Now we just need to pump. Guys, look at the launch. There's still a little fog. It flew away very high. As you can see, I'm a bit wet, but the effect was awesome. Parachuting was very popular back then. And that's why our parents made these little parachutes. Just like that, right into your hands. Some piece of fabric, preferably synthetic fabric since it's lightweight. We take it and bend it, so we end up with a perfect square. We cut it. In my case, the square turned out to be about 40 by 40 centimeters. You can make absolutely any parachute. Now fold it carefully like I did and make a small cut at the top. This cut is needed so that our parachute doesn't jerk during the descent. It jerked, but it descended smoothly. So to speak, a guiding hole. This hole is a must. Otherwise, the parachute will be all over the place and won't open properly. So it turns out like this. Next, you need to take 4 equal pieces of thread. It's best to use nylon thread since it's thin and strong. We tie it securely to the edges of our parachute with 2 knots. If you want, you can sew it. You end up with this kind of structure. You need to fold it so that all the edges are close to each other. Then we pass all of the lines down and trim them. You can use absolutely any weight for our parachute. I used, for example, a nut. The bigger your parachute, the heavier the weight you should use. If the weight is too light and your parachute is big, it might not open at all. So just pick everything out, so to speak, by trial and error. Water. Bomb.
You'll need a square piece of paper. We fold it in half. Then we fold it in half again. It's really easy to make that bomb. We take it and unfold these inner edges like this. Make them this. Here are 3 corners. We flip it over and unfold it on this side too. You can use any paper. or A4 printing paper, or even from a notebook. From whatever you want, this is what we have now. Now we take these corners and fold them. Let me show you up close. We fold them towards the center at the top. And one more time we fold. On the other side now. This is what we got together. Now, we take it. We fold these side corners towards the center. Exactly on one side. On the other side, firewood opposite each other so that they were like this. We turn them over. And also do the same on the other side, dryly against each other, so that they are. And now we freely fold these little edges that we have left into these corners. One side, and we flip the second side over. And we do the same on the other side, we fold one side. We trim everything up. And the second side, this is what we have turned out. Now we need to inflate it. Here we have a hole on one side, so we take it and blow into it. Now we get this cube. Here's one. And the second one, through this hole, we fill it with water, and it holds the water well. And then the water balloon is ready to throw.